Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for the fourth in our webinar series. So as we said on the onset, we have 5 planned for you, and we're still waiting for a little bit more feedback so we can keep these webinars going. As always, you've got myself who'll be facilitating the questions for you, and Graham who will be taking you through today's webinar. Today's webinar's got the snazzy title of Marking, Feedback and Assignment Reporting. And what that means in practice is we're going to take you through a deeper dive into some of the assignment tools within the Frog platform. And that really includes taking a good look at the Markbook, about how to use the assignment wall, messaging, and some other good feedback tools within the platform that you may or you may not know how to actually use. So it's a bit of a refresher. You'll see that there is a chat, questions, and people tab on your screen. If you just want to use the chat facility on there, post the questions, and then at an appropriate time, I will interrupt Graham and try and pose some of those questions to him. Or if you want to see something that he hasn't covered, please put it on there, and I'll do my very best to facilitate. I say I won't interrupt you, Graham. You know I will.
And it will be very welcome as well. I want to just have a quick say thank you to everybody for joining us as well. The previous videos, we've talked to you about just how quick and easy it is to set assignments and how to use Markbooks to see all of your assignments all in one place. What we wanted to do in this one is talk to you a little bit more about some of the questions that we've been getting from schools around the idea of actually marking, but also using that marking for communicating with students. So in my dummy platform again, I'm just going to go up and open the Markbook in here. I've got all my homeworks that I've been assigning out. I'm going to jump into this one here because I'll be using it in 2 different ways. Here are all my students, which, by the way, because I was just speaking to a school just before this, absolutely should contain all of your students from your MIS. And if there's a student that you know is in school and in the MIS and they're missing from here, do contact the service desk to ask about that, because they should be automatically synchronized with that. Anyway, so here's my assignment feedback, my feedback assignment that I've set, and I've got all these students. The green tick means that they've handed it in, but I've not done anything. There's been no actions from me on here. And if I click on Charlie's, because that's the one I've prepared earlier, I can see that Charlie has uploaded some work for me to look at. I'm going to come back around to feedback. I'm going to show you that in a moment, but I can see that work. Now, if this was a Word document or video or anything like that, I can open it and I've got that download option here. So I can download it if I want to, or I can come up to the Action Cog menu and I can download all the files from all the students who've handed in work all in one go. And I'll get that as a zip file, which I can then unpack on my computer. So if I'm working through lots and lots of PowerPoints or files that feedback system won't work, because it does work with PowerPoint, I can download them all and I can look through that work there. Now, when I then, what I can do is then I can come over and I can start giving marks. And what we've tried to do is we worked with some schools around this to make it possible to download, to make it possible to mark all of this work really, really quickly. So by having a custom mark scheme set up, I can just give that silver comment mark, put a grade in for him, but I can then add a comment and attach that to the homework. Something like that. Ideally, I would give a bit more of a rich text homework. Now, it's also possible that Charlie's uploaded his work that wasn't quite right and he's pressed the hand in button, or I want him to try it again. At that point, I've got the reattempt button. And what this does is it takes off that handed in tag. I'll click that now. Even got it set ready for me there with the preformed. So that's now gone back to Charlie. He'll get a notification and it will reappear in his assignment to-do list for him to work back through. So if I get students hitting that hand in button, I can resend it back to them that way easily enough. But the other thing that I should point out is, so say I'm happy with this and I'm going to mark it as handed in. He did do it a bit late, so I can put a late flag on that, or maybe he wasn't late. Maybe it was that he did it afterwards. So I'm still going to give him a mark for his work, but he handed it in. It was set when he was absent, so he had to catch up and do that work later. Charlie is not going to see this comment or this mark until I close and release marks for the whole class. Now, the reason we do it that way is that we don't want to give individual marks out to students and give them feedback on what they should be doing, feedback with a small f, on what they should be doing before all of their classmates have completed that work themselves. Because otherwise we could get into a situation where they're sharing your marking and doing it that way. So nobody gets to see their mark, their assignment points until it's been closed and released.
Graham, I've got two questions already. The first one is if I am setting a text activity file to my class in the assignment functionality, is there a way of bulk downloading all of those text activity files in one go?
No, unfortunately not. While we make the text activity look like a text icon, a text file icon, it is literally just an entry in the database. So there's no file to download. You do have to go in and mark that work online.
And there's another one which is focused around questions in a site. Is there a way of seeing the students' answers to questions that you have embedded into a Frog site?
Right. So within Frog Learn, we use Frog Play's quiz engine. Now, there are some elements that you don't get because they're only available within Frog Play. So if the students are completing that work, you can run a report. I'm wondering, because I'm seeing that question now, Matt, I'd have to check out if you've got Frog Learn and Frog Play, because your question specifically talks to it being embedded in a Frog site. And to be honest, I'll have to go away and check if that's the situation, if you've got both. But if you're a school who has Frog Play, you
They
get
do.
reports and you can see it there. So I tell you
They
what,
do.
they have both, do they?
Yes.
If you're not seeing that and you're not seeing the quiz reports within the data viewer, I'm going to say no, but leave it with me and I will find out for you and get back to you after this webinar.
I think that's a really good idea. So, Matt, if you could drop Graham a line or Amber or myself, then we can look into that for you. Okay, thanks, Graham.
No, thank you. So yeah, with that drop down, with that assignment menu drop down, nobody's going to see their results until I close and release marks. But there is also the assignment wall. So if this work is going back and forth and you want to give some feedback to a student separate to telling them to reattempt, or you're wanting to answer their questions, or just anything that you don't want to wait until you've got that close and release marks, you always have the messages tab. And every assignment you set has this assignment messages tab. And as you can see, Charlie was telling me that with the work he sent through, he had to use PowerPoint to make his diagram and the bendy corners were difficult. Well, thank you very much, Charlie. I don't really care. I wasn't marking you on the quality of the work you were doing. I can now send Charlie messages. This is going to go back and forth just to me and Charlie. Now, I mentioned in the last webinar that that's all very well because you can send a message, but you could have a lot of children messaging you this way, and you could have a lot of these pupil messages to respond to. So how do you know to pick them out? Well, within the Markbook icon, you do get a little blue button, and within the Markbook page, you do get to see those blue dots. However, even then, that requires you to go in and actively look. So what I've got available here is within the common questions section of the support of the community forums, we try, whenever we get one of these sort of questions that come in, we try to put an answer in. So we've got everything from how can I see last year's Markbooks to students can't access quizzes and this is the workaround or this is the fix. How can I get an email when students send me a message from the assignment wall? And what we can have Frog do is send you an email to do with anything to do with assignments, but obviously you want to filter those down to just assignment walls. You can use an email rule. So I'm going to take this link and I'm going to paste it into the comments. It's also available on common questions. It's well worth having a look at it, investigating, because it will just send you that immediate alert that way. So that is how you can quickly mark work and set it. And as I say, once you've worked through all of them, I've finished marking Charlie's. I can then click next and continue. I can see that Caitlin's not done hers. And I can move next and continue. And you can see frogs just jumping down from one to the other, allowing you to work through it. Bad example, class here, only a couple of students have actually done the work. But hopefully you get that sense of what I'm doing. And by the way, I should have also pointed out that every individual activity can have its own mark. Now that's not cumulative. That doesn't automatically give you a mark here. It does allow you to keep track of the work they're doing and help you make an estimate should you need to. And referring back to quizzes, if there was a single quiz activity within here, that mark would automatically appear here. So you wouldn't have to do anything being a self-marking quiz. And just to reiterate, when I'm done, I hit close and release marks, and that sends the work out to the students, the marking out to the students. But I kept referring there to feedback. And that's a tool that we found is a really, really powerful feature. And we've had in Frog for a while, but from last year onwards, has just sort of taken on a life of its own. So here's another student in the same homework. Basically, feedback will take a Word document, an image, a PowerPoint, a PDF, a couple of things like RTFs, and there's other file types in there as well. And it will convert whatever that file is to an image and allow me to then mark it online. So here I've got two documents that have been handed in by Abby, and I can click the feedback button. It loads in that feedback. So this piece of homework was that I wanted the students, in fact, I'll show you it, because I can preview it, which is always also a really handy thing. I want the students to create a transport map for their local, in the style of London Underground, for their town. And I actually set some criteria. They had to include at least 2 bus routes and 4 locations and stops. So let's see how Abby did. So here we go, and this is for Halifax, and we've got Clough, we've got Burger Place, People's Park, but we've got more than that. So let's have a look at her criteria. Yes, so she's included. So I've already sort of started marking this, and I told her, "You're not giving me a key, so I don't know what the colours mean. So maybe you should have told me which route that was and which route this was." And I'm also going to say, well, if you look at the London Underground situation, it would be straight corners. You wouldn't get these diagonals. So I can actually go in and then I can annotate her work like this, and I can draw on how I want it to be. And then I can just drag in a sticker, and I can pop in which Burger Place, something like that. But I've also got the audio recording tool. So I can hit here. It's great that you included a Burger Place, but there's at least 5 in Halifax Town Centre that I can think of. Maybe you should have named it. And I don't know if you can hear that. It's all there and all loaded in. So makes it really easy. And of course, it used to be a flash recorder, and we've changed it to make it sure it continues to work. Having done all that, I can just click add, and that's attached to it. And now I'm ready to save that. Now, Abby shouldn't get to see this feedback until I've closed and released marks, but it's there, and it's a really powerful tool that we like. I can always download the original, and I can view it without any of my annotations if I get confused. But if I close that down, just discard my changes, I've still got it here, and I can still download that original file. It's only from that feedback button that I can see that. But where it got really exciting for us is what happened, and it was Mayflower School who turned us onto this approach, in that why not get the students to take photos of their handwritten work and hand those in via Frog. So you're able to take, and I've mentioned this in previous webinars, but take that physical work and turn it into something digital and make it easy to mark. So I can go into it and I can start annotating work that Abby's recorded, and I can still put all my stickers on, and I can do whatever I need to with this approach as well.
So, Graham, we covered this in our first webinar
We did.
really quickly. From a student's perspective, not everybody would have the Frog Snap app, or they may be working on any device. For them to be able to get this information into the platform, they can do it through either the app, or they can take a photograph, can't they, and upload it?
Yes. So in your smartphone camera, just use that, and then you can go either into MyFrog and open the assignment, and this will work on both Apple and Android devices. You see the file drop just as you would as if it was on a desktop, and you can click upload, and you can use your phone's gallery, pick up the photo from there and add it in. Now, what Lucy's talking about is a feature. If you've got the Apple version of Frog Snap, you actually get an assignment button within that if you're a student, and clicking on that, if your assignment has a file drop, it gets listed in there. You can select it and you can hand it in that way. I'm starting to prefer the MyFrog approach, not only because it is available on Android, but when you go to hand it in, you've still got the ability to add, send messages on the assignment wall, see the instructions and everything in detail. So you're seeing the assignment as a whole rather than using FrogSnap for the end product of handing it in. Both work really well.
Graham, Martin's also made a very valid point here. Where we set a homework, we can sort of delay that so that the student doesn't get pinged in the middle of the night. Can you do the same when you're using the messaging facility? Can you delay the messaging to go after a certain point in time, or is that just standard, it's real time?
As far as I know, it's real time. Yeah, we did have a situation when we first introduced notifications to the phone where people would set homeworks to appear tomorrow and people were being pinged at midnight, and we changed that to be in the morning. As far as I know, all of our messaging using Frog's messages system is real time. You hit send and it goes off.
Okay, thank you, Graham.
So that's how quickly and easy it is for a teacher to mark work and set it. And by the way, one thing that we covered it in our first webinar is all of that is exportable as a spreadsheet for you. So if you've got an offline mark book and you're combining it with other information, you can go in. If I go into a mark book here, I've got that export marks to CSV, so I can have my spreadsheet and do other things with it. One of the things that we touched on in the previous webinar is that we talked about the reporting tool, which allows you to run reports on staff and students for setting work. And we showed you a couple of Frog code widgets that allows you to get into detail. I hinted, but didn't really go into the detail about Assignment Monitor. And this is our, if you like, real-time approach for monitoring work being set. So I immediately, and again, this is a dummy platform, but you can see all the work and all the homework that I've been setting. There was a bit of a spike in the last couple of weeks. Now, from this view, you can start drawing all sorts of graphs and generating. And any cell in here with a blue dot means that there's data. So I can see at a glance that these are the only teachers on my platform who've been setting work over the last 12 months. It's not great, is it? I'm logged in as an admin, so it doesn't list me and it doesn't list anybody else who's got an admin account. Let's have a look at since November. I can just click, shift and click, by the way, to do that, and I get an immediate filter. Let's have a look in line graphs at the different arrangements we've got. So we'll have a quick look at the donut graph. So it retains that filter, but it redraws it as a donut graph. And I can see instantly 20% of the work set was for English, 20% for design technology. Now at that point, I could print that graph off. Or I could print that graph off, or I could download it as a PDF. But if I'm preparing a report for a larger situation, I'm showing this off for governors and putting into a PowerPoint, I love the fact that we've also included copy graph, and that will give me an image of that I can paste into a PowerPoint or something else I'm doing. And I can also run that as a bar chart, and I can show data for students as well as classes. So I've got lots of information going on here. This is just the front end of Assignment Monitor. I'm going to clear this filter off for the moment, and it'll redraw the graph. And now I'm going to click into View Assignments. And View Assignments allows me now to look at all the assignments being set as a table view, and I can run a filter on here, and I can select a subject. There probably won't be any for French, but I'll select English. And now I can see all the homework set for the English subject. I can pop in for classes. And this is probably my thing I use the most this for, is I can search. Let's have a look at all the work in set for Abby. Let's see. And now I can instantly see from a pastoral point of view, here's all the homework that Abby's set, who's been setting it. She's not bad. She's missing a few that she's not been handing in. I can actually drill all the way down and I can open not only the marking and the work that Abby's done, I can open the assignment. So if I am on the pastoral staff and I'm supporting somebody, with their homework, and I've given SEN advice to their teachers, and then I open the assignment, I can see immediately that that's too complicated for Abby. No wonder she was struggling. No wonder. I can actually go back and have a chat to the teacher and say, this is why Abby's not done that work. I can do that because we give you that level of information. Everything that I'm showing you can also be exported as a CSV too. So again, if I want to do further analysis, we do our very best to give you all the data we've got available so that you can process it and do whatever you need to there as well. So that's Assignment Monitor. And that was what we wanted to show you this week. If I just jump back to the PowerPoint, I've already pasted that link into the chat for the email questions, how to get emailed when an assignment has been sent. But you can find all of these guides. Everything we're covering is on frogeducation.com/community/training. And there's obviously the service desk you can get in touch with us for as well.
Graham, look at you keeping to time yet again. So we do have a few minutes still for questions and answers. More than happy to spend this time answering a few more questions. Or if now you're here, if there's anything that you think you would really like to see on any more webinars, just pop it into the chat, because we put down an initial 5 webinars for you that we thought might be useful at this particular time. But there's bound to be other things that you would like to see more of, or drill down further into, or any particular features. And we're happy to keep these webinars going because they're short, they're easy to deliver to you. We take the recordings, you can share them with your teams. So I'm just having a look. And I know the feature that Martin was talking about, when he's setting a piece of work, when they're adding some messages, obviously, to the wall, when they've got the younger years, they're going to see that feedback on their assignments. And of course, it will alert them that there's something there. And they don't potentially, one, they've got teachers working late, but also 2, the kids might get inquisitive and then start having a look at things when they don't really want to advocate that behaviour. I think I'm right in that, aren't I, Martin?
Yeah. So I've got one possibility for you there. Now, I know Martin's set up, so it might not appeal to him, but there's a frog code widget called Set My Preferences. And what you do is you pop it on your dashboard, and when the students log in, you can choose what they're going to get notified about. So you could put it on, if you want staff to be emailed all about their assignments, you can put it on for the staff dashboard and set it to email. And then any notification Frog sends out about assignments will send the staff an email, so you don't have to show them how to do it. But for your younger years, what you could do is you could put this widget onto their dashboard, and when they log in, you can have it automatically turn off all assignment notifications. So the only way that they would see that marking would be through the assignment calendar, or the assignment calendar, or going into the assignments application itself. So that might be a way to get that not late night marking situation.
I'm watching the chat as well, and I think our schools actually want to take to the stage, and we can use this forum to facilitate our schools just sharing ideas. I think George has put it good for stealing ideas, but absolutely, that's exactly what I mean. We're here just to give you guidance. I'm more than happy to put together something. If we want to start with a couple of folk that want to share what they're doing, maybe we can come up with a couple of topics. We're all common themes down south. Obviously, I'm now a northerner, so I don't count. But yeah, if we'll put a message out across the community of schools and see if there is some take up for a like a virtual teach meet facilitated by Frog, and we'll come up with some topics, and I think that would be really, really good. A parental webinar would be great. Yep. Okay, so we're getting some ideas here. Any more? Sounds like a great idea. Not sure what I would show. I'm sure there'll be something that probably to you is just what you're doing day in, day out, but other schools will just reiterate something that they've missed. So all ideas are good ideas.
Yes, I don't think I've spoken to a school, and when they've given me a tour, I don't think there's a single school who's not shown me something original that they're doing with Frog.
I remember going to a teach meet a while ago and seeing 6 schools that had used the options portal, and somebody was in that room who had created the options portal, but every single school had used it and rolled it out a different way. So it's not necessarily about the functionality, it's often how you approach it and how you engage your stakeholders. So it's all good stuff. Okay, have we got any further questions? So just showing them basic things like how to get to the app, logging on. Yeah, so this sounds like looking at maybe some of our very basic getting started guides, Graham, and maybe
That
doing some
does,
webinars on
yeah.
those.
And sorry, just reading George's comment there, I'm wondering if you're suggesting we actually do a webinar for parents to join to watch. We could certainly think. I assumed it was a webinar showing you how to set up parent portals. But yes, between the two, I'm sure we could come up with something.
You'd have to be careful to be talking about the colour of lights behind you there, Graham.
I know.
Okay. Right. Well, what we are now going to do is turn our turn our videos off and microphones off. We won't end the webinar just yet. We're still here facilitating questions if you've got any more, but I'm sure you don't want to see my mug anymore. So I'm going to take myself off and still be here. And the next webinar is same time Thursday, 4 o'clock. All right. Thank you very much again for taking time out and joining us.
Thank you.